everybody, and welcome to Strata Gaming. This is Laura here. Today's video is going to be the first video of a series of tutorial videos for Lord of the Rings Online. So if you've never played an online role-playing game and you're a huge fan of Middle-earth, or your partner or teenage kid is nagging you to play with them, but you have no clue what you're doing, then this is going to be the video series for you. Also, if this video series is going to be from a free-to-play account, so if you want to play for free, this will be great. I'll also explain in future videos about how to eventually acquire extra quest packs by gaining LOTRO points and saving them to basically essentially be free-to-play without the need for VIP. I am thinking of doing a comparison video too on comparing free-to-play model with the VIP. If you're interested in that, I can do that as well. So for today's video, we're going to start with creating your character. So for starters, we can approach this two ways. We can approach it by what race we want to play as or our class. Now, each race has a certain trait quality that they have. So, for example, for starters here with the race of man, they have a gift of man, which gives them plus 15 fate. And fate basically increases your in-combat morale and power regeneration, which is basically when you're in a battle, your health and your power regenerates over time. And also, I think it affects auto-combat regeneration as well. So when you're not in battle, it'll slowly, your morale, your health, and your power will slowly regenerate over time. And they have -7 will, which isn't good, but you can essentially gain that back from a racial trait that you can apply, which I think is plus 20 will. And will is basically for tactical damage and I think your critical rating as well. Usually will is essential for your spellcaster type classes like the minstrel or the lore master. And easily inspired plus 5% incoming healing. So if you're healing yourself or if somebody else is healing you, you will have more health come back on you. And improved strength, so you have plus 15 might, which is basically essential for if you want a melee character that is up close fighting, then that will be good for their damage output as well. So for example, that would be good for a captain, a champion, or a guardian. So you just have to depend on your race. Now, High Elf race is not available for free-to-play. It came along later with the Mordor expansion, and you can eventually pay later on if you like with LOTRO points for the High Elf race. So for that, though, you have -7 will. They have reduced fate and extra morale, though, which is health. And the non-combat morale regeneration, which is good, I guess. And they have a bonus for resistance to disease or poison effects. So, and then there's the dwarf. Now the dwarf has plus 15 might or plus 10 vitality. Vitality is a stat that will increase your health, the amount of health that you have. So this is a really good class for if you want to play the guardian here, which is like what we call in gaming, online role-playing terms, as a tank. And tanks are good for defending other players, and they will take the enemy's attention onto themselves, so that way the other players won't have to, die fast. But they also have -7 agility, which is not good, but eventually they can get that back with another racial trait that you can get, which is plus 20. And agility is good for burglars or hunters. They use agility. It increases your critical hit chance. and increases your damage for if you're a hunter or a burglar. And they have increased combat morale and power regeneration. So again, what I said before, when they're fighting, their health and power slowly regenerates, and but when they're out of combat, it's reduced, which is not good. So if you are in between fights, it'll be less than other races. And they are allowed to use, any class is available to use a one-handed axe. Now, a hobbit is -7 might, so their melee damage is reduced. So if you're playing a guardian, they're going to have less damage, but you can eventually, like I said, there's a racial trait that gives you a +20 of a certain stat back that you can later get, and that would be might for hobbits, so it's not really a problem. And they get improved vitality +15, so they have more health. So for a hobbit, a guardian would be pretty good. So dwarf or hobbit, if you want to be a guardian, I would recommend that. And also out of combat morale regeneration +60, so they have a higher health regeneration out of combat. And they get +1 fear resistance, so basically fear effects that are applied to them, they have a 1% higher chance of resisting it, which isn't a lot. Same with shadow meditation. So if they have a shadow damage attack, then it's reduced. And then an elf is Sorrow of the Firstborn. So you have they have less health when they start, a little bit, and less out of combat health regeneration essentially. But they do have bonus agility, so they make excellent hunters. And hunters are probably the most popular class played on LOTRO right now, in which there's good reason why. I'll explain all the uniqueness of each class when I get there. They have -7 fate, but eventually again they'll get that back with +20 fate with the racial trait that you can eventually acquire. So it's not that bad. And they also get +1% disease resistance and poison resistance towards disease and poison effects. And Bjorning is again a class only, well, there's only one class for that race, which is Bjorning, and you can buy it with LOTRO points in the store, so it's not available immediately if you're starting off fresh on a free-to-play account. So they have +15 might, -7 fate. Again, you can get that back with the racial trait. And yeah, but it's all specifically made, the racial traits are all specifically made for just the one class that is available. So, and everything is within the lore of Lord of the Rings that Tolkien wrote. So over here on the bottom right, you can, when you read about the classes that are available for a certain race, it'll tell you the difficulty. So for Bjorning, it's advanced, and the role type is damage or support. So you could either be supporting your allies with giving them buffs, which is the things that you increases your other fellow players' morale, or they reduce their damage or whatever, and also they're good with hitting damage. And it'll also explain exactly here the gameplay. There's skin changers that can change into the form of a bear in combat. They focus the wrath while in bear form, choosing to deal grievous blows or bolster their own resolve. While skilled in combat, some Bjornings also choose to wield their knowledge of the wilderness to assist their allies. And then in each class, here's a bit of a lore that of in the books, where they come from. The Bjornings of Middle-earth are a largely reclusive people. They trace their ancestry to Bjorn himself and spend most of their time deep in the wilderness. The solitude of the forest gives little comfort in recent times, with the ability encroaching from all sides. The time has come for the descendants of Bjorn to land their strength to the free peoples of Middle-earth. This class is inspired by Bjorn, who bravely stood with the free peoples during the Battle of the Five Armies. And if you wish to see more about the race, or the class, there is a video that is available. There's a link on the bottom, so you can watch that and see more gameplay of it if you want. Now for the race of man, there you can play as most of the classes are available as a race of man. So you can play as a burglar, a captain. A captain used to be only exclusively for the race of man. It's the only race you could play it as, but then they released the high elf race, so you can play as a captain as a high elf now too, if you like, if you have the class available. And so burglar is essentially stealthy. They'll stab unit, go and stealth, stab a unit in the back, and do they're mostly damage, but they're also supportive in that they can use debuffs on enemies, so they can reduce their damage or increase attack damage with your allies on this certain target. They're pretty good in that regard, and you can also solo them too. And then the captain is kind of a jack of all trades character. They have a pet, well, so-called quote-unquote pet. It's more of a herald that follows you around that gives you an extra buff, like they can increase your morale or your attack speed. They can increase your attack speed too, I think. And they also have a lot of skills that will help with healing, and they can revive other players. Also, they can, if they go in a certain line on the trait tree, like the blue line, they can be more of for defense, like the tank role, like a guardian. So it's very versatile what you can do, and it's pretty fun. Champion, they dual wield one-handed swords or one-handed weapons in general. They are more for damage, but they do wear heavy armor, so they can also defend too if you play the right trait line, which I'll explain traits later, class traits and virtue traits and everything. So if you want and they also are very good with area of effect skills, meaning area of effect basically means that they have a lot of skills that attack more than one unit, one enemy, so they can attack 3 targets at the same time. Or they can just focus on just one unit. If you want to go one certain line of the trait tree that is just focusing on killing one unit at a time, but it's higher damage. So it really depends on what you want, but that's usually what a champion is good with, and especially interrupting induction skills by enemies, which I'll go more into that later. Guardian, like I said, is essentially the tank class. They're probably the best. Well, they used to be. I don't know if they are anymore or not, since they always update the game with the classes and everything. But they were the best class for defending and holding the enemy's attention on them, so that way the other players can focus on just damaging the boss or the minions or whatever. Hunter is pretty versatile, like I said earlier. It is the most popular character to play, and that is because everybody likes to play a ranged character, and they're ranged attack, and they are very good with traveling. So as a new player, I would recommend maybe playing as a hunter, because they do have great travel skills, which means you can easily get a skill that teleports you to a certain town. So, and you can also, those skills also will take you, not just you, but also other people that are in your fellowship or your group, other players with you, to that designated location. And they also can set traps for enemies, to stop them, and so that way they can continue to keep attacking them at a range instead of getting close up. So. And the Lore Master is a more advanced class. They have pets, so you can have a lynx or a saber-toothed tiger, and they are also a spellcasting class, and they use light armor. And they have they're more known for crowd control skills, so they'll maybe stun or daze one enemy, and then they can just focus on the one unit. And other skills. It's been a while since I've played a lore master, but. And minstrel is a healing supportive class. They actually are pretty fun. They play a certain instrument, which they play songs and increase it. They can do damage or healing allies and reviving them if they fall in combat. So they're fun. I'm actually going to make a character with this so you can just see. It's been a while since I played it. And then lastly, the two classes, Runekeeper and Warden, are only available through the Mines of Moria expansion, or you can buy them separately in the LOTRO store for LOTRO points. So they are again not available for a free-to-play account. But and Runekeeper is available only for the elf, high elf race now, or the dwarf. And Runekeepers are also a healing class like the minstrel, but their healing is more heal over time, so like you'll slowly get a little bit of health over time, versus the minstrel where they're more just one big heal at a time. And they are a pretty fun class too. You can also do fire damage skills or lightning skills. So, and lastly, Warden can be played by a hobbit or a man. And Wardens are another form of a tank class like the Guardian. They usually wield a spear or a javelin. Spear and a shield, and they have a javelin for range. So you can do a lot of different skills. Usually they're pretty advanced because it's a different kind of gameplay where you have 3 different skills and you have to use them in a certain combination to use different combo attacks, basically. But they're also good as a tank role. And they also have, like the hunter, they have a skill where they can teleport to various towns, but it's only for them exclusively. They can't take other players with them. So I'm gonna make a minstrel, a female minstrel. Also, just so you know, burglar is available only for hobbits and men, and champion, guardian, hunter, and minstrel are all available for every class, and lore master is only for a man and a elf. So I'm gonna make a female minstrel because the bonuses for that, eventually I'll get the plus 20 will back, and will is like their main, other than vitality, will is their main stat to have for damage and critical hit rating. Plus I get plus 5% incoming healing, which is good, so that way I don't die easily in a group. My heals will give me more health. And I get might, which isn't really necessary for a minstrel, but okay. So minstrel, and so then we're gonna, now that I chose my race and my class, we're going to continue on. Now here's the fun part. Now you can select your origin, which is all based on the lore of Middle Earth. Now since my favorite race of man location is Rohan, I'm going to choose a Rohirric woman. And they give you like to have it be very Middle Earth to stick with the lore. They give you prefixes and suffixes for names that you can make to go along with the role-playing theme. So I think for me, I'm just going to use a name that I usually make and see if it's available. See, and you can choose, if you want, you can choose different hairstyles, and eventually you can change the color at the bottom here. I'm changing the head right now. So you can change the head shape. I guess that looks nice. And the hairstyle you can change. I'm going to change the color because it's driving me nuts. That looks good. So they have a lot of different hairstyles that you can choose from. It just depends on what you want to do. And they added a lot of extra ones over the years, like these ones I don't remember from being when I first played many years ago when a game first came out. Kind of like this one. So let me do that. And then with the eyes, basically it looks like it's just eyeshadow effect, or you can have bags under your eyes if you want to look like an old person or a person who's seen way too many wars. And you can zoom in by either hitting the plus sign here or the wheel of your mouse. No, I just did that. And their eyebrows, you want bushy eyebrows. Now, I mean, the creation system in LOTRO isn't as customizing as other games, especially, for example, Champions Online, which has one of the most elaborate character creation systems I've ever seen. But it's still pretty nice in the fact that it gives you what you want to do, essentially. I guess that's good. Yeah, it's fine. And then the details are basically either you can do like a mole, like a birthmark, or freckles, or battle scars. I kind of like the freckles though. Or old people wrinkles, so it's pretty fun. Alright, so there we go, and you can change your skin color. So if you want to be really red, look like you got a sunburn, I guess. A little bit of color. Blue. It's pretty bright. So there we have it, and lastly we can change the body type, so we can make it like really buff, husky looking, or really skinny. So let's just go about medium-ish. So now we're going to hit create character, see if it takes my name. If not, I'll have to re-type it, it'll let me know if it's taken. And the name is taken, of course. So now we'll just try to wing it, I guess, with these names here, these name ideas. Win. Why not? Probably gonna be taken too. Yeah. Name part is always usually the hardest because you want to have a really awesome sounding name, but at the same time, if it's taken, you have to rethink it. Let's try that. Of course. Okay, so we'll just do this instead. Wow, it's really taken on this server. That's crazy. Okay. Alright, there we go. So now we have our lovely Earl Wynn, and all made and ready, so when we get ready to play, we'll just hit enter middle there. So this is the end of the creating a character tutorial video. If there was something that I didn't clarify on in this video and you need more clarification, please let me know in the comments below. Or if there's an area or an aspect of LOTRO that is very confusing for you and hard for you to understand exactly what you're doing and you need help, just also leave a comment in the section below so I know and I can answer your question and help you. In the next video, I am going to discuss basic gameplay through the introduction, story, epic quest sequence. So this is it for this video. If you like this video and you want to share it, please do. I really appreciate that. And I do have a Facebook page for my channel. So if you want to keep up to date with news about when I'm going to be posting the next video or other articles that I find about gaming with families or children, since this is a channel that focuses on playing together as a family, then please like, and I'll leave a link of my Facebook page in the description below. So thank you and have fun with LOTRO.